And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from. Hello, Richard. Good to see you. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. All right, and now going to the next stream. Next screen right here. All right, so here I am. It's Alien Spaceship, and talking about some different news things tonight and more updates about what's going on. And now I'll be switching over to the other window. Okay. This is where we do the game. We start off with. All right, here we go. RC, I hope everything's going good with you. Thank you for being here. All right, here we go is Tortuga. Hello, Goose. It's welcome to the stream. Nice to see you too. Mardi Gras feast. Right here. Okay, let's see. Took some roasted pork. Yeah, because in this game, they have a Mardi Gras theme going on here. They'll have different holiday themes in the game. All right, so now let's go. This. All right. Now we're gonna go out to the sea. All right, so they're still trying to they're still looking into the Epstein files, and he seems to have gotten a giant tank of sulfuric acid. You know, thousands of gallons of it. I don't know the exact number, but many gallons. So what that is most likely used for is, if your discretion is advised, getting rid of bodies. It seems that he is trying to probably hide something. There's many different theories about the different people going missing, etc. So that was something that was brought to my attention about that from the files. I looked into the files myself, and there are very bizarre emails. They're speaking in code about very disturbing things, and he was running a whole business behind his depraved uh, desires that he had. Many wealthy, famous people all over the world were involved, so it's not just like one country. There seems to be lots of Maxwell. All these people were connected and were agents that were trying to corrupt England and the United States, in my opinion. Seem to be some alleged connections to Israel too. That way, as I said, doesn't mean all the people in Israel are bad. But there's corruption. It seems allegedly some corrupt officials in their government. Yes, yo ho, all hands. Yes, and Saudi Arabia, Europe. It seems like a global network, as I said yesterday. And I think all countries involved, all foreign countries involved, need to be exposed for what they did, and their hand in these things, because it's certainly not right. So I appreciate the collective of efforts of the internet of solving this case, which is going to probably take years and years to go through everything and figure out exactly what's going on. We know what's going on, but to expose things we don't even know about yet is what I'm trying to say as well. All right. Okay, now out here is the Kraken, and we'll take a peek at it over here. And there we go. That is some pirates fighting the Kraken right there. It usually disappears, another ship shows up. Yeah, that has to do with the Kraken quest that they're doing. All right. Now, entering this way, we have another ship to attack. Another conspiracy theory is about Baal worship. It is ancient Canaanites worshipped it. It's a horned pagan god that they believed in, and now people are still doing these things in Hollywood and other parts, etc. So how that works is what these people. This is a very down the rabbit conspiracy theory, by the way, where they seem to be attributing their evil actions, that we would call evil, of course, is to this being, or at least the practices originate back to that time period when those ancient people did those things, because these polytheists did some very bizarre practices, and it's continuing into now. Obviously, trying to go against God and those that may not believe in God, the order of justice and righteous behaviors. So, and people don't have to be religious to see that, somebody's doing these, hurting people for no reason is unjust, right? So, some things we will be continuing to dive into. They're still having, with Guthrie, the camera caught a person that was doing something, trying to kidnap her. They have all these signs about wanting her to come home, etc. So hopefully all that can be eventually solved and situated, because it was a Ring doorbell camera that they took, which people are having suspicions about that. It's good that you're back home. Good that you're back home. And yeah, that has to be uh, really uh, cool to see. Really cool to see. Oh, they almost sunk my ship for a second. They almost got me for a second. But we have to go this way and sink the ship. All right. Oh, yes. So I like how, because there are really fake pirate ships, or like replicas of pirate ships that are created, and they're able to do reenactments, and I think that's extremely incredible when they do that, especially like war reenactments, like Civil War reenactments or whatever it is always awesome to see. Yes, by Florida, that's close to the area where they had the pirates doing activity there. The Gulf Coast in general, and right here in this game, it's off the coast of Florida. We don't have Florida in the game, but it's close to Florida. It's in the Caribbean, because there's Cubas in this game, but the exact spot of pinpointing is Florida is really not there, but it's actually close by. Yeah. All right. I hope you're doing well, Goose, and thank you for the update. It's nice to have you here. All right, now this is a Phantom ship. It's a ghost ship right here. All right, firing at the ghost ship. All right, the Phantom ship is gone. All right, now going to head toward one of the other islands. Oh, that's a spooky island to go to, and we're right by it. Okay. Yeah, facts, Goose. Indeed. We're still reviewing the different trials, but I do like a checks mix of different types of live streams. Yeah, the we're looking at. I think you're with us while we're looking at it. Jody Arias, and we're looking at another one. Shannon, looking at that case too. As some nutty people out there, got to be careful about who we're associated with because they will do these murders just randomly. Yeah, the like Jodi Arias had no emotion about it, and other one was Shannon. She was laughing and singing, and she gave him the nose job he wanted by shooting him in the face. It's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I was looking at different horns that people used in different history senses, and the Vikings they used a an ox horn. The ancient people of the like ancient Israelites, the different people in that region too, in general, used rams and uh, there's the Yemenites used a different kind of a cantaloupe type horn. You know, they didn't use the cow horn. The Israelites didn't use the cow horn because of the origins of the golden calf that they built. And as I said, I think a lot of people these days are idolizing the golden calves in the modern times over God. So symbolically, have fallen back into uh, negative behavior. Say, is a nice way to put it. Okay. There are horns that are used in fog, and like the more of a deeper droning noise is good for fogs. And I like that because when you're the more higher pitch horn doesn't do as well because the moisture and stuff will catch the noise. I didn't really realize how can be blocked by humidity and rain, etc. It can block an unseen sound wave. Yeah, that's why in different conditions there are different types of horns that would be used, but modern times there's very uh, intricate whistles that are used. Like Titanic, they use whistles to signal each other. Now they had these whistles that can be very loud, that can be heard, that are superior to any horn that people in the past used. So yeah, in the past people would use horns to signal each other, but now there's whistles. All of the horns are good for other things, in our modern times of it was something interesting to research. So last night I was reviewing about sounds and different types of whistles. Like say somebody's like in a swamp or in a kind of foggy place, they'll use like a deeper horn. But in like a canyon or like an empty space, maybe some places out like in the west coast where it's more desert and spacious, they would use more of a piercing type of horn. That would be better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a ghost island. It's this place was ransacked by zombie pirates, but they never repaired it. And there's ghosts in here, like for instance, this part. Yeah, these are two good ghosts. These were like humans. Okay, the ghost pirates are humans, but they're more demonic and supernatural, and they're more decomposed looking. You see, this ghost, these ghosts are cool. Right there. They're not as you know demonic looking because they look holy, right? Uh, More righteous looking. So yeah, this was a bar, a tavern that they owned, but it got ransacked and destroyed, and they're just there, and they have you do different quests. That's what they look like before, and that's them now. That's somebody on a quest, okay, and going over this way. Let's see. All right, that's a demonic ghost. This is a phantom. Like you go up to it, like say you take this thing, and you just go. You see, and it deletes you immediately. They're very powerful. They could just delete somebody instantly. All right. So then this is the jail. The pirate goes into a jail when he gets defeated in battle. All right. So there's my cellmate. He's a skeleton now, and must have bored him to death by, or he. It was the elements of being just locked in there for all that time, and yeah, that is the chains, etc. Yeah. So this you just break out that way. All right. Then we leave and go out this way. And this was a burnt house. So that's a phantom. It's an evil spirit. All right. Yeah, this is a interesting part. It's like the back of the place there. And that's Crazy Ned. He's this nutcase that was staying on the island, and he's just kind of went insane by the stuff he went through. All right, this is another region of the spaceship. Not spaceship. That's silly. Well, it is part of the spaceship, but it's more more island like, more an island part of the spaceship. All right. Okay, so that's the Big Dipper. Okay, that's the moon. You can see it. Yeah, see, it's like you can't even like barely see the moon because it's all covered. This is like a magical, enchanting place, but it's like wicked. It's a dark. Okay, and these are some houses where people lived. I like to see this is someone that in their bed they were gone. All right, there's some food. Okay. All right, this is inside a voodoo shop, but it's a ghost voodoo shop right there. I would love to see a recreation of this island that there's some garlic. It looks like probably the garlic from vampires. There's yeah this place where they do like a voodoo shop where they could refuel, resupply. Oh, it looks like it's a quest. Okay. Oh, okay. Free slot in the inventory. Okay. I have to take out an item. Well, I could just go to the other island and sell something, and then come back here. Maybe over there. Yeah, in this game, you could do these certain quests, and then you can go and teleport to different places. All right, that's the moon up high. Okay, going this way. Yeah, no, that's in the other end of the island. Oh, you could just sell it right here. There's one dude I like to go to of where the clothes are. It's interesting. Okay. Yep, that way. All right, let's sell something here. Let's see. Bejeweled. Let's see. Healing Blunderbuster. That's a different type of Blunderbuster. Okay. You see, the game, it doesn't always give you a vast, big inventory. So we're just going to sell that one. Alright, now we're going to go back to the Haunted Island. Let's go here. There we go. It's daytime coming, and those phantoms are going to be disappearing. Alright, now I think at this point I can get this other thing in this quest. Let's see. Oh, it looks like the demon ghost is chasing me. See, like it tries to act like it's a normal ghost, but it's all red and it has red eyes and it was chasing me. I've never seen it in the game it chasing after me before. Okay, let's go this way. Oh, okay, Sunny. This reminds you a little bit of beginning of Borderlands 2. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this time I think it'll work. Okay. What does that say? Three brew. Oh, okay. Let's see. Brew three. Make it full screen for a moment so I can see what she's saying. Let's see. Oh, okay. You have to brew something. All right, I get it now. Oh, yeah. I know. There's a place where you could go and brew different things, uh, potions and stuff. All right. So yeah, that is yeah. This is the skeleton just sitting in his bed, and that's where he perished. Right there. All right, and yeah, because as I was saying earlier, the zombie pirates went and destroyed this island, and it never recovered. It's kind of like under a spell, because the other islands get there's once so they'll do these raids in these different islands, and it's a group player game, multiplayer game online, and there are so many people like that will like all join together and fight them off. This part of the storyline, this place got destroyed; it never recovered. I have seen one time where the zombie pirates came in and destroyed an island, and it was all on fire. It was myself and some other lady, and yeah, they just like went and we did well, but it didn't quite get rid of the horde. And yeah, it was the whole island was like on fire. So that's only one time that happened. I know of. Yeah. So yeah, this is crazy Ned. He's kind of like a crackhead, and he's just he's an NPC that does you do quests and stuff for. Yeah. At nighttime, they have the phantom ghosts that try to attack. Right. Yeah, these are barricades that they try to use to shout out to Bubbles. Bubbles is the white cat in the background right here. Right. So you have this is where they would put barricades up, but as I said, they went and tore them down. This way, it's a house that got burned down during the raid. Right there. This is a tailor's shop because in this game it's like a little town, like I don't know, similar to Sims, but like 1700s version of it. And you have these people that were deleted, died, and the raid. You see, it's all abandoned. It's like the house is all, the shop is all destroyed and abandoned. But this ghost, you see, this is a good ghost. That's why it's all these nice colors. It's blue, it's a green, blue, white, and this is where people make shirts and clothes and hats. It's a tailoring place. There's quests that are done here, but I'm just giving y'all a tour of it. I usually go here just to look around most of the time. All right, shot the holes right there. Okay, that's another abandoned one. Well, it's a destroyed one, really. This is Raven's. It's called Raven's Cove. That's somebody that was slain in battle, and all the islands are similar to this, but they're not like destroyed like this one is. Okay. All right, and you got that. And you got all those ravens just orbiting, you know, right there. You see, and that's the sun. It's a very this game has done very well with the graphics, and it's like sunny, but it's still dark, like a something dark about it. Mm-hmm. All right, and this is the launch out to sea. It's the morning time. All right, and this is the big ship that we have here. You see, the rest of it doesn't look as dark as the island because that island specifically is just under lots of spells. All right, it's haunted. All the ghosts are from that island. All right, so this one's a little bit of a tricky one because it has a. Sometimes these ships can launch a fireball that just sinks the whole ship instantly. So I have to be careful about that. Okay, we're attacking too. There's a Defiance ship, yeah. Okay. In this game, does very well with multiplayer. All right, but you can play it solo. It's a little bit tedious at times, but it can be played solo, right? And it's good to get. There's quests. Like you can take out a ship and it'll be part of a quest. But this is just kind of freestyling for right now. Okay, and firing at that one now. That side's been completely taken out, but it's still in decent health. Shout out to Mary Toodles. Yes, I sunk his battleship. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, in this game, if you take out enough ships, the bounty hunter and the Royal Navy come after you. Now, in the game, there are Captain Jack Sparrows in this game, and the characters from that movie are in here on different islands. Yeah. Uh, I'll have Zero that will usually assist me when I do this, and or some other people in the game too. Uh, Zero's from the chat, uh, or sometimes just do it on my own. Yeah. This one's gonna be a little bit longer to take out because it's a higher level ship. This one has to do with the Kraken. That's why it has this emblem on it that has to do with the Kraken. Okay. Firing at will. Okay, and I'm keeping my distance from the ship where it doesn't completely take out mine because getting too close to it can cause that to happen. When you have a crew with you, it can be much quicker in a way where you're having the ship prepared constantly and it gets it done a little bit faster. Not always faster, but it just you have more people preparing the ship. All right, and so in this way. All right, and this way. Okay, now firing at will this way. Okay, now he has some other ships that are rejoining in. Okay. Right there. Right. Oh, that conveniently missed mine. What? Okay, we got a treasure chest. That's good. Now, because when you take out the other ship, you get treasure chests and crates and a loot from it. All right, now going this way. Now speeding this direction. That was the wrong side, but we're still getting there. Okay. This ship is almost gone. But it's going to be done by going this direction. Okay, now it's officially almost gone. Alright. There's one more left, and it should be finished. Okay. Now firing at will. So these types of ships, you can board it or parlay it. Now, I don't have the crew with me to take it out completely. But I'll show you a demonstration anyway. So, usually you would have a crew to help with this, but it is... I'll show you a demonstration about what happens. Now, you could do a parlay, or you can, which means to sink the ship, or you can board it. Now, as I said, I don't have a crew with me, so it's going to be just for educational reasons. All right, so see, that's the Kraken with the East India Company's signal on it. That, all right, so this is how it works. You take this. All right, so I'm going to board it for educational reasons, but as I said, we don't have the crew, so it's not going to be what it could be. So parlay would mean to get rid of, to sink it, or board it. We're going to board it. All right, there we go. There's a wave, right? So we're on the enemy ship, and they're going to fight us. All right, there we go. So just kind of show you all the other ship. That's mine right there, and then theirs. I'm not hitting anybody, so we're just going to take this out. Okay, where are they? They got one hit at me. Let's see. And you see, they took me out. Well, not really taking me out, but yeah, there we go. All right, so usually, as I said, you'd have a crew, and you would, because these are some very powerful levels. And when you get knocked out, so to speak, which the game's kind of glitching where it's allowing me to walk around, you go to jail into the prison cell. Then you go from there. All right, so going to jail, going there. Yeah, so that's a demonstration what happens. You could board a ship, usually with a crew, and you could fight them. And either they could defeat you, like what just happened, or you could defeat them. Alright. I think we're still in the zombie island. Yeah, we are. So, you're stuck in a cell. And there's another character over there that's just became a skeleton. But there's a solution. Right there. Break it down. Then I'll teleport to this island to bring the ship back from its grave, so to speak. Alright, that will be repaired. There we go. This is Tortuga, the pirate island. It's all the other islands are not pirate islands, but pirates can still go there. Okay, so yeah, you have customizing shops, some banana trees. Okay, and okay, we have some characters over this way. We got some of the characters from the movie here. going to show. Okay, so that's Captain Jack Sparrow right there. Zoom in that way. There he is. There's in the game you could do different quests for him. That's his sidekick Gibbs right there. Yeah, pretty cool. It's where characters can play poker. There's different people to talk to there to have quests right there. This is a tavern. See, like unlike the Ghost Island, this is what that Ghost Island originally would have looked like a long time ago before it got destroyed. There. Looks like there's a message right there from the game itself. Okay, it's going to go full screen or not. What will it do? I could reopen it, but anyway. The Kraken's lair. So there's the Kraken, is the giant squid thing, and the Flying Dutchman made its presence known to a few, then disappeared. And the game, I'm glad they finally added the Flying Dutchman and the Kraken because that was part of the movie. Because the original game didn't have that. Right. Oh, well, looks like it crashed. So we're going to just shut this down right here. Shut it down. Try to reopen it. Nope. Yeah, game is frozen. Nice. We'll make it full screen on my end for a second, but it didn't want to go there, so now it is being stuck. Doing it. Okay. Alright. We will get this situated. Okay, so that part works from it. Okay. Trim this other thing. Okay, so going to... Alright, well... Go to the other part then, because the game has crashed. Alright. Other things on topic we're going to talk about right here. Chrome was updated. That is good. Okay, there is something about which I am going to do a reboot to so the game can shut down. But first, I want to tell you all about something interesting here. Something about the conspiracy theory stuff that I was researching. Okay. All right. Sulfuric acid is extremely, which that had to do with something from one of the Epstein files. That's something he used for something unknown. All right, and the sulfuric acid is an extremely corrosive, colorless, and odorless mineral acid with molecular formula H2SO4, often referred to as the blood of the chemical industry. Due to its vast utility, it is most widely produced in chemicals globally. Strong mineral acid that can cause severe chemical burns and secondary burns upon contact with tissue, dehydration. The concentrated sulfuric acid is a powerful dehydrating agent capable of stripping water from organic materials like sugar, paper, and skin, often leaving charred carbon residue. Now, it's believed that your discretion is advised. He used it as a way to get rid of bodies from the victims. Water reactivity. Mixing it with water highly exothermic releases intense heat. Always add it to water to prevent explosive spattering. Okay, let's see. All right, and Jeffrey Epstein reportedly ordered 6 55-gallon barrels of sulfuric acid for his private island. Total quantity of 6 drums contained 330 gallons, approximately 1,249 liters of corrosive chemical. Timing. The order was placed on June 12, 2018, the same day the FBI reportedly opened a federal investigation into his activities. Costs. The shipment, which include fuel and insurance charges, cost $4,373 and was purchased through his company LSGE LLC. Started purpose. The documentation associated with the purchase listed minerals as being for conductivity, probes, replacement, pH, and which I believe that was his reason for osmosis plant on the island. So he was claiming it had to do with osmosis plant, reverse osmosis, which I think he most likely was trying to hide something with it. Speculation. Despite the stated industrial use, the timing and the corrosive nature of sulfuric acid have led to public speculation regarding potential destruction of evidence. No formal charges were ever linked to specific purchase, but I do think it had something to do with it, in my opinion. Okay, let's see. Something I mentioned in the title, which has to do with some of this occultic stuff that we've been talking about, is about Baal, or what's pronounced Baal. He was an ancient Near East deity primarily worshipped by the Canaanites and Phoenicians as a god of storm, rain, and fertility. The name itself is Semitic title meaning the Lord, Master, Owner, and was used for both gods and human rulers. You see, this is where Israelites they built the golden calf. That's where this also was linked to that. Modern times, it's believed that occultists, people in these doing these evil activities like what Epstein, etc., are doing these tributes to this deity, or at least doing practices that these people did for their deities. The sacrificing children or young people, etc. It's something that people in this time would have done. That were with this deity. So you're gonna hear a lot about it in on the internet and media. So just giving you like a summary of like what it is exactly. All right. Storm and fertility god, often identified as Baal Hadad. He was believed to control the life-giving rains essential for agriculture. He's frequently depicted as a powerful warrior holding a lightning bolt or mace. Baal cycle described of tablets in ancient city of Ugarit revealed myths where Baal defeats the Yam, the sea god, to gain kinship and struggles with Mot, the god of death. His temporary descent into the underworld represented the dry summer season, while his return brought autumn rains. Genealogy, the Ugarit text, he often is a son of grain god Dagon. I thought it was a dragon, but it's Dagon. The chief god El, and his sister Corset usually is Anat. He was a deity from also Egypt too, by the way. Biblical antagonists in the Hebrew Bible, Baal is the primary rival of Yahweh, or the god of the Abrahamic God. The most famous conflict is a showdown between the prophet Elijah and the 450 prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, where Yahweh is proven superior by sending fire from heaven. Through the Christian perspective that uh, God is over all the other beings or deities that humans worshipped. Worship practice. Cult centers existed in cities like Baalbek and Tyre. Worship sometimes involved ritualistic prostitution, and in specific cases, the Carthaginian Baal accusations of child sacrifices too. Cultural synchronism. Baal's influence spread widely to the Greeks, identified him as Zeus, the Romans with Saturn, and Egyptians with Set. Over time, the monotheistic traditions transformed Baal from a rival deity to a malevolent force. Beelzebub, originally Baal Beelzebub, Lord of the High Place. Reminds you of Lord of the Flies. Yep, that's what that is. It's Lord of the Flies. Yep. I read that book and saw that movie, by the way. That's a good example of society destroying itself under certain circumstances. I've talked to some of you about before. This figure became synonymous with Satan in the New Testament. They will say that Satan wasn't in the Old Testament, but that's what the Old Testament equivalent of it was. Medieval demonology, the Baal ranked as king of hell, ruling over 66 legions of demons. All right, so that is what Baal is exactly. Right, Baal is portrayed as the ultimate false god and god of Israel, and that's why in these times we're seeing similar practices uh, at play here, with a lot of things we see in the media and people do now. Yeah. Because the worship was so prevalent in the land canon, he is presented as a consistent temptation Israelites into apostasy. So they're known to tempt Israelites away from their truth. All right, let's see. During Exodus, Israelite men were excited worshiping Baal of Peror through the influence of Midianite women, resulting in devastating plague. Jezebel's influence, the Phoenician princess Jezebel, wife of King Ahab, is the Bible's most notorious prominent of Baal. She attempted to exterminate the prophets of Yahweh and replace the nation's religions with the cults of Baal, but it didn't work. But it seems like it's going to come back in our modern times. Okay, and and Moloch is another one that's known of, a red thing with horns. That's what Moloch is basically, according to these theories. All right, so Moloch is a Canaanite deity and famous to the Bible for the practice of child sacrifice. The Baal Lord, Moloch is derived from the Semitic root meaning king. Biblical offense associated with the Moloch is the act of passing children through fire. The idol traditionally depicted the hollow bronze statue with the head of a bull and outstretched arms. Sacrifice, a fire was inside the idol's belly. Children were reportedly placed into the glowing hands, which were slooped so the victim would roll into the furnace below. Worshippers believed the sacrifices would guarantee financial prosperity, military victory, or fertility for crops. Now, even those that aren't religious, and these are all these mythologies, I like how in the Christian tradition, the god sacrificed himself for his people. That's a better story than these bizarre traditions. So that's why I think it's good to know about these things, because we wouldn't want this type of bizarre practices being repeated. Right. Strict prohibitions. The book of Leviticus, God commanded that any Israelite who gives their offspring to Moloch must be put to death by stoning. King Solomon's downfall. Despite warnings, King Solomon built the high place for Moloch, referred to Milcom, at the temple in East Jerusalem to please his foreign wives. Gihana Valley of Hinnom. Hello, Moki. It is great to see you. Welcome to the stream. I was playing the game, but the game froze, and eventually have to reboot it to get the game to shut down. But uh, we are reviewing stuff about Baal, things that we were talking about. And Moki, how are the quests? I am curious how that is going. I believe you had a quest today, but if not, I hope today just went well in general. All right. So the downfall is when Israel built these idols to Moloch and Baal. That is when there was problems with God, right? And Baal and Moloch and the different deities were trying to turn the Israelites away from the truth. And as I said today, it seems like these practices from the ancient people are resurfacing now. Ah, okay, understood, Mookie. Yeah, and I think that with these deities, it's we talked about before about the child sacrifices with the things like what Epstein was involved in and other alleged occult meetings, that it originates from these bizarre behaviors. And there's prostitution, there is unholy practices that people were doing to appease those gods. And now what we did was explaining this to expose it, because the spirit is still alive and trying to do what it did before. And you have Gehenna Valley of Hinnom. The ritual site of outside Jerusalem was located in the valley of Ben Hinnom. King Josiah later desecrated the site to stop the sacrifices, in the valley's name, Gehonim, eventually became the word Gehenna, a New Testament synonym of hell. No, I didn't see any trials today. No. I was. I've been very involved with doing a lot of research on different things, and I was looking into stuff about horns, different types of horns, and comparing them to whistles. Which it sounds simplistic, but it actually was quite a very lengthy process. But I also, of course, looking into the Epstein stuff too. Um, I got a new video coming out about that. So no, I didn't see any trials today. Deity or type of sacrifice. Some modern scholars suggest that Moloch wasn't a specific god name, but the term votive offering or sacrifice itself, milk. Literary metaphor today. Moloch is often used as metaphorically describe any system or cause that demands excessive sacrifice of human life, such as war, greed, or industrial exploitation. Let's see. Oh, hello there, Shell. It is great to see you. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. All right. Okay, so explaining the modern occultism where they derive from these. As I said, I think there is like these secret societies that may be practicing these things, but seeing what we know of it, known cults behind it, would be pretty interesting to see. And Shell says hello to Moki too. Modern occultism, the fringed theories of Moloch and Baal have shifted from ancient deities into symbols of global power, elite rituals, and left hand path magic. Alright, let's see. The Bohemian Grove and cremation of care. Let's see. Most frequent modern link involves the Bohemian Grove, a private campground in California where world leaders and business elites are. I've heard of that. Okay. Ritual. Every summer, members perform the cremation of care ceremony in front of a 40-foot stone owl. The connection. While the Grove's official literature claims the owl represents the knowledge and the ritual of theatrical way to burn the worries, conspiracy theorists often link the owl to Moloch, which usually would be a bull's head. They argue the ritual is symbolic remnants the of the sacrifices that were made to the deity Moloch. Left hand path, demonetary. Okay. Modern theistic Satanism, the left hand path, these elites are invoking the primarily archetype of power. Baal was a grimoire or modern occult circles. Baal is the first king of hell. Practitioners believe he grants power of invisibility or wit. Moloch is a modern practitioners of a darker arts view Moloch as a cleansing fire that consumes the ego or lower self to allow spiritual evolution. And these beings are real cliche. These deities, they were horned, these big horned humanoid entities, like how we would call demons. That's what, and these actually were worshipped by people in the ancient Canaanites, which is quite cliche, because that's the stereotypes that we have about those types of beings in our modern culture today. The Ark of Baal controversy. In 2016, a 3D printed replica of the Ark of Palmyra, the original entrance to the Temple of Baal in Syria, was displayed in the Trafalgar Square, later New York City. Occult claim. The occult researchers, religious groups claim that the was a portal to a symbolic invention for the spirits of Baal return to the modern world, coinciding with the specific dates in the occultic calendar. Political, pop culture, and symbolism. Spirit of Moloch, and many modern critics use Moloch as a shorthand for blood sacrificing systems such as the unrestrained capitalism, the military industrial complex, suggesting society is a sacrifice for its profit and war. That's what they do, right? Music and media, yeah, bands in different dark metal and ambient frequently use the imagery Moloch and Baal to represent the anti-Abrahamic rebellion and the ancient pagan power. All right, so that is like a summary about Baal and the different sacrifices that were people made to it and how it may obtain to things of now. See this right here. Okay, let's do this place. Now there has been some regarding Nancy Guthrie. We're hearing different reports about what was happening with her or not. Internet. There is on social media there is different posts about what may be going on, but it seems like from the news generally speaking, as of yesterday, they are the search continues as of yesterday. As I said on the internet, there was when we were doing a stream a couple of nights ago. There seems to have been lots of some reports about a location being found or something, but it seems that there's still a search going on for her. So I'm going to say an update about that, which was from yesterday. All right. Nancy Guthrie search continues as FBI canvasses roadways. Investigators get over 4,000 calls to tip line in 24 hours. Okay. Over 4,000 calls have been made to a tip line in Arizona Sheriff's Department investigating the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. 24 hours, officials say on Wednesday. The FBI said agents were conducting an extensive search along roadways, parts of Tucson, where Guthrie lives. A man who says he was detained in investigation Tuesday night has been released. He told reports early Wednesday, "I didn't do anything. I'm innocent." Nancy's 84-year-old mother, Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, has been missing since February 1. Authorities believe she was abducted from her home in Tucson in the middle of the night. After this, I'll get to the other person, the school shooter. FBI on Tuesday released videos of a person in a ski mask with gloves at Nancy's door the night she went missing. Details on February's no, not February. Details on FBI search of nearby roadways. The FBI said Wednesday it was conducting extensive search of nearby roadways near Nancy Guthrie went missing. Authorities are focusing on roads, washes out, payoffs between Nancy Guthrie's home and the major roadways leading out of Tucson. They also canvassed nearby gas stations and pulled surveillance videos from the surrounding neighborhoods. Investigators followed up with thousands of tips that have come over the last 24 hours. Wednesday's search. The neighborhood where Nancy lives sits next to an area where a lot of thick bushes, long winding narrow streets. There's considerable distance between the house and neighborhood. Now, how the Bitcoin might connect Nancy's case. An apparent ransom note of Nancy's demand payment in Bitcoin. While authorities have not confirmed the ransom demand is legitimate, they have previously said they are taking the note seriously. Ben Weiss, a crypto reporter for Fortune, told CBS News for the analyst, historically, criminals flocked to Bitcoin because they thought it was anonymous, Weiss said, but what's happening over the past few years is there are these blockchain whizzes that can look at the networks or transactions, and they can also look for transactions and often see they were coming from. Monero is supposedly to be an anonymous cryptocurrency, but of course, I think they could trace anything at some point. Yeah, that Monero is like an anonymous cryptocurrency because Bitcoin used to be like an anonymous one where they could exchange it without people knowing about it. But now they could figure it out. So there are some clues in this situation. Over 4,000 calls made to the tip line in the last 24 hours from yesterday. Pima County Sheriff's Department has received more than 4,000 calls to its tip line in the last 24 hours, officials said Wednesday. The department said in a statement that since February 1, when Nancy Guthrie was reported missing, has received nearly 18,000 calls. That's a lot of tips. The Pima County Sheriff's Department and FBI continue to follow up on all leads. The sheriff's Depp says we thank the media and the public for thousands of tips submitted through the various tip lines. Anyone with what the department describes as accountable information, they're urged to contact 1-800-CALL FBI for those that know something. Okay. Also, their extensive search are along the roadways and the Catalina foothill area. Cybersecurity expert Alex Stampo said data from the Nest cameras, like the one captured video of a person outside Nancy Guthrie's door, is streaming constantly to Google and may not be deleted for some time, even for non-subscribers. Internal storage uses a very lazy deletion mechanism, so the data wouldn't be available to users who didn't pay. Stamos said video for non-subscribers would be marked for deletion by depending on the exact implementation details. The actual files might not be deleted. For days, the actual data wouldn't be overwritten until the storage was needed. The surveillance video is a gold mine, forensic analyst says. The forensic analyst call video showing a person at Nancy Guthrie's door, gold mine, said three things stood out to him that haven't really been discussed in the media. First thing is that there is no audio with video, which could be by design based on law enforcement's release of information or indicate that audio was turned off and not functioning. A person could have had facial hair. Some of their mouth in the opening of the ski mask You know that the man who said he was detained released authorities by his facial hair. All right, so we got that. Okay, so that's about update about Nancy. Okay. Okay, let's go this way. Down here. Down here. Okay, so the shooter. So one night we were here and we were informed that there is a school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, Canada, British Columbia. Right, the 18-year-old suspect in February 2026 mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, has been identified as Jesse Van Roodseller. According to Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Van Roodseller was assigned male at birth but began transitioning approximately 5 to 6 years ago, identified publicly and socially as female. Yeah, there is some suspicion about that was the reason behind it. Yeah, because remember, there's reports that it was a male, it was a female, and it looks like it's one of these other cases of a um, shooting happening from someone from this group. And usually, school shooters do usually delete themselves because it's a suicide mission. You know, that's what their whole goal is. It's a final way to go out. Casualties: 8 people were Leah killed in total. The shooter first Leah killed her mother at 11-year-old stepbrother at the time at their home before traveling to Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, where Leah killed 5 students and one educator before taking her own life. Background: Van Roodseller was a former student who had dropped out 4 years prior. Police had visited the suspect's residence multiple times in recent years due to mental health concerns and self harm. Online presence: the investigators found the extensive online history showing a fascination with firearms, drug use, and frequent dark corners of the internet to consume violent, nihilistic content. Public reaction to shooters' gender identity has sparked significant debate and misinformation online. Expert advocates have cautioned against generalizing from the single, noting that the trans individual statistically more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators. Yeah, I don't know how big their community is. I don't know the statistics. There was another shooter from that group, another place. You know, some people just have very bad mental health problems, also spiritual problems, in my opinion, too. need to get the proper help and to not be just encouraged to do these type of things or be enabled. There's a video of him, and he was laughing maniacally with a Joker smile. So, he certainly was not in his right mind at all. No. While the RCMP has not yet confirmed the specific motive, investigators have independent research have linked Jesse Van Rootseller's online activity to attack through several key behaviors: fascination with mass shooters. Van Rossler's TikTok account reportedly reposted videos of 2023 national school shooter. Her YouTube channel also featured images of firearms, anime characters, which researchers noted were part of a troubling pattern of interest in past attacks. Now, not all people interested in anime do stuff like that, by the way, but that's an interesting study. Addiction to gore content. According to the Anti-Defamation League, Van Rootseller was active Watch People Get Deleted, which the forum was called Watch People Die, a forum hosting a violent videos in August 2025. She reportedly described her consumption of this. He reportedly described his consumption of his content as addictive and a massive, useless time dump struggle to avoid. Violent simulations. Roblox account linked to his footprint hosted a user-created game that allowed players to simulate a mass shooting at a shopping mall. Roblox has since removed the account and associated content. Roblox has a lot of scandals going on. I played Roblox before, but there's allegedly a lot of P-files on there, and they're getting sued over it. But because in Roblox you can make all kinds of games about anything, so yeah, that explains why there was a shooting game. Documentation of mental health and drug use on right under the username JesseBoy347 detailed struggles with gender dysphoria, extreme loneliness, and rural BC, British Columbia, and previous complete break from reality, following the use of psychedelic mushrooms. Well, that's certainly not going to help anything either, because that's going to cause more mental decay. Gun control engagement. The YouTube channel Facebook history showed long-term interest in hunting self-reliance and guns, with videos archived as investigators showing practice of tactical guns. Yeah, and they have gun regulations there, but shootings still happen. It doesn't happen as frequently as the United States, though. But still, it happens. People will figure out some way to get it. February 12, 2026, the Real Canadian RCPM has stated that the specific motive of the Tumbler Ridge shooting remains unknown. And unclear, while definitive why has not been established, investigators are focused on several key areas: mental health struggles confirmed, multiple visits to Jesse Rossler's home. Police confirmed multiple visits to his home in recent years due to mental health concerns and self-harm. He had been previously apprehended under mental health for assessment. Lack of manifesto. Unlike many recent mass attackers, Van root seller does not appear to have left a manifesto or self deletion note explaining his actions. No known targets. RCPM Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McMichael, no, McDonald, rather, noted there is no evidence that specific individuals were targeted at the school and was not a victim of bullying as far as current records show. History of disconnection. Having dropped out of secondary school 4 years prior, he connects his connections to the current student body was limited. Further implications of search of direct trigger. Identity of social environment. Police confirmed his trans identity. They have cautioned it is too early to determine. Plan the rule to motive online speculation. So there's no motive. Person mentally disturbed and laughing like the Joker in some videos, and yeah, it's a people are tuned in tune with their emotions. They let the emotions control them, and so if some of these men are doing, some women too, like Jodi Arias, people like that, they let their emotions control them to an extreme. Like everyone can get emotional, get angry, but these people take it to an extreme, to the point where it leads them to hurt themselves and others. Right. So people were less like this, and not letting the emotions take over to this extent would be helpful to everybody in society. Back in 70 years ago, stuff like this was unheard of. You know, and there were still guns and I'd say mentally ill people too, but it wasn't as either happening as much or happening really at all back in the past. So that is our society is slowly decaying, but I'm glad the newer generation like us are seeing something's wrong and we want to go and fix it. All right, and let's see. We're here. All right. Now, the game is becoming a bit unresponsive, as I said before. So the game is shut down. I'm gonna have to do a reboot, but I'll be right back. There is no connection issues, by the way. To this. So I'll be back in a moment. As I said, no connection issues, just a reboot. Shot the bubbles. All right. All right, I am back. Let's go here. Alright, I have returned and I was able to shut down the game successfully. Okay, so the legal impacts of Jesse's online footprints focuses on accountability for digital platforms and early intervention lawsuits. The platform liability. RCPM federal regulations are scrutinizing platforms like Roblox and TikTok for hosting violent simulations are content that may have groomed him toward violence. This has reignited debate over Online Harms Act, which seeks to hold social media companies legally responsible for failing to remove harmful material. Privacy versus public safety. Legal experts are debating whether the Reddit YouTube posts should have triggered a proactive police response. While Canada's privacy laws are strict, this case may lead to new legal thresholds when law enforcement can intervene based on digital red flags alone. Hey, Bubbles. Firearm access. Online ties to investigators are looking for legal culpability in how she acquired or how he acquired his firearms. So specifically in online groups or peer-to-peer sales, circumvented Canada's Bill C-21 regulations. Red flag law reviews. Because police had visited her home for mental health checks, there is legal inquiry into why red flag laws, which allow for temporary removal of firearms, were not utilized to seize weapons from the household prior to the attack. So there's going to be some legal. They want legal responsibility for the platforms that are hosting the material. Let's see. Let's see. On. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Game more. Okay. Alright, the RCMP has officially identified 8 victims deleted killed in February 10, 2026 attacks in Tumble Ridge. The victims include 6 individuals, the secondary school, and 2 at a nearby residence. The Abel Meswanza Jr., described by his father as having a radiant smile and bright future. Kylie Smith, 12. These people are young. Wow. Beautiful soul who loved art and anime, dreamed of attending art school in Toronto. Zoe Benoit, remembered by her family as resilient, vibrant, and smart girl who brought laughter to those around her. Zakaria Ziki Lampert, 12, described as courageous and humorous child. She was one of the 7 siblings. Ezekiel Schofield, an avid hockey player for the local U13 Raptors team, and Shanada Durand, 39, an education assistant at the school, member of BC General Employment Union. Victims at the Fellers Avenue residence. Jennifer Jacobs, 39, the shooter's mother, also known as Jennifer Strange. Friends described her as a strong, caring parent. Emmett Jacobs, 11, the shooter's younger stepbrother. Notable injuries. Maya Gabella, 12, remains critical condition at BC Children's Hospital after being shot in the head and neck. Her mother reported that she had recently shown small signs of stimulus recovery. Okay? And then Page, 19, recovering hospital after undergoing a surgery for gunshot wound in the chest. Well, that is very messed up. Similar to the Stan D hook one. Right, I was talking a little bit earlier about the sulfuric acid and going a little bit more detail about that. Okay, so in the recent unsealed documents, the U.S. Department of Justice released in February 2026 revealed that Jeffrey Epstein's firm, the LSJE LLC, ordered 330 gallons, 655-gallon drums of industrial grade sulfuric acid on June 12, 2018. The timing of this purchase. The same day FBI reportedly launched its sex trafficking investigation has fueled intense public and legal speculation. The released files include internal emails and voices that suggest the acid was intended for routine infrastructure maintenance on Little St. James. Water purification. The purchase order specifically listed the acid alongside materials for conductivity probes and replacement pH and cable for island reserved osmosis plants. Of course, these aren't really the reasons, but this is the reasons that were given. His claims: pH regulation. Sulfuric acid is commonly used in desalination systems, soften water, and adjust pH levels. General maintenance. Other potential legitimate applications for remote island include pool cleaning, battery maintenance, for off-grid power, wastewater treatment. Hypothetical and speculative uses. Despite the technical documentation, the large quantity and corrosive nature of the chemical have led to darker theories. These remain unproven. Destruction of evidence. Speculation online that some of the tabloid reports suggest the acid could have been used to dissolve biological materials or electronic devices before investigations could seize them. By disposal. Some users on social media commentators have theorized the chemical was meant for disposing human remains, often citing the historical cases of the acid bath murderer. Alright, and there's been no evidence of, no confirmed any criminal uses. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, though. Right. I think they're probably trying to hide something, in my opinion. Okay. Something I was researching yesterday was about the horns versus like blowing a horn versus the whistle. But this right here is talking about the electronic horns, but this part will be something I didn't completely read yet. Okay. Difference in how air moves and what it sounds like. A whistle uses an edge tone principle. Air is blown across a sharp edge at an aperture or fipple, which causes the air to oscillate and create sound. Some whistles use a small ball to create a shriveling effect. Horn uses a vibrating diaphragm. A reed, as most vehicles are electromagnet causes a metal diaphragm to vibrate rapidly. In a brass instrument, your lips act as the reed. The sound amplifies through flared bell shape. All right, sound profile. Whistle, high pitched, shrill, piercing, is designed to be heard over short to medium distances and to cut through ambient noise, like a reference to whistle or steam whistle. Horn. Deep, resonant, and directional. It has much lower frequency, which allows the sound waves to travel farther distance through solid objects like car windows. Right, whistles used for sports, sophisticating, and personal safety are small steam engines. Horns used for vehicle alert, maritime signaling, foghorns, and emergency sirens. For those that are joining in, the type of like the, for instance, like the Israelites couldn't. Their horn was a ram's horn because they couldn't use the ox horn that like Vikings and other ones used, other civilizations used, because of the golden calf that they built. Like I was talking before about Baal, and we talk about the occult, etc., and their association with sacrifice. They're trying to distance themselves from that just by using a ram's horn. And there's this other one, the QU. It's a type of a African elk thing, which is a very very big longhorn, of which is a spiral in it. So they use that over the ox horn, but basically the thing with nowadays, it seems that society has fallen back into Baal worship, basically symbolically. So yeah, the I think the forces of darkness will continue to try to mess with people of the light, obviously. So that's some interesting facts about horns, and I did a big research about it last night because now if somebody's out somewhere, the whistle's much more effective than a horn, especially if somebody's out of breath. The the blowing a horn's a lot of energy putting into it. With a whistle, you don't have to put as much energy into it, and it's much louder. It can go through buildings. It's much easier to use than and more effective than the horns in the past. The Viking horn, which is like an ox horn, would be good for fog, dense swamps because it's deeper. Yeah, but the whistle is superior overall. Yeah. Okay, and see anything else? Let's see. All right, so I covered everything that needed to be covered. That's good. All right, so see a little bit. I'm going to play the some scenes from Jodi Arias interrogation, and then I'll be it. Let's see, where is it? There it is. full window and switching over to that one. Alright, play this for a little bit, then we'll go. We'll end it for a night.
Been on Facebook and MySpace a lot, looking at his profile, looking at his pictures, reading things about his obituaries and any news updates. And there's legacy.com where you can write something about him.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of those postings.
I didn't realize until I actually spoke with Ryan Burns. He told the guy that's in Utah. And we've been talking a lot, and we try not to talk about that because it's kind of like, ugh. And plus, Travis is my ex-boyfriend, but at the same time, he's my friend. So while I'm mourning my friend, how do you talk to your new potential, possible, maybe person that you might start dating about your friend, even though he was your ex-boyfriend? So it's kind of a gray area. I try not to talk about him too much, but he comes up a lot. And it was through him that I learned that he said, if you come out to Utah, things are really weird because everyone thinks that you could have had a hand.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody's pointing a finger at you.
I know.
Everybody is saying, I don't understand what happened to Travis. I don't know who killed him. But you need to look at Jody. And sometimes the simplest answers are the correct ones. And that's one of the reasons I started looking at you a little bit closer. And over the last month or so, I've gotten into Travis's life, talked to all his friends, his family. I got a really good understanding of who he is now. And I got a very good understanding of your relationship with him. And I'm kind of just putting two and two together.
Well,
and it kind of matches. So one of the reasons I'm here is to talk to you to figure out what was going on between you two. I know the relationship that you guys had was of convenience sometimes. Obviously you weren't boyfriend and girlfriend anymore, but you were still having a sexual relationship, which
does his family know about that? Just curious.
No, his family doesn't know anything.
Okay. Yeah. I'm interested in protecting how he's remembered as well, and
well, I'm sure if Travis could speak right now, he wouldn't care what people thought about him, because they knew who he was. Okay, a sexual relationship here or there, because the fact he was a member of the church really doesn't matter.
A couple times I asked him.
Whole range of things.
Yeah,
okay.
I think in the broad scope of things that could be right. I just think that the reason I care about that is because he was adamant about that. And a couple times we prayed about it, didn't work, or we didn't stick to our guns on it. And one time a girlfriend of mine just said, why don't you just go to your bishop and talk, and ask Travis the same. And I talked to him about it, and he got really angry. He said, I've already had problems with this in the past. I'm embarrassed by it. I don't want to go to my bishop. And so we just kind of stopped for like a few weeks, and then that must have been I think that was August, and then it just resumed.
Well, the way Travis thought, by getting into his head and everything that he's written in his journals and everything I found out about him, he truly had feelings for you. And for some reason, he felt that the relationship between you and him was somewhat unhealthy, but he couldn't stop it. And I assume that's probably maybe the same way you felt about him, or maybe you didn't understand why he didn't believe it was healthy.
No, I didn't think it was healthy either, spiritually at least, and probably emotionally, but mostly spiritually. And I think that kind of, once you have something that's not healthy spiritually, it filters through all aspects of your life. It's one of the main, there were three main reasons I moved back to Eureka, and one was I was in financial dire straits. I was not getting ahead, things were not working. Everything in Arizona was like, except for the wonderful friends that I made in my ward, and the opportunity. It's like the Mormon land of opportunity there, which is awesome, but except for all that, like every sign was pointing, just go, I wasn't able to hold a job, and that had never happened before. Too much of my my nightlife was about him, you know. He would text me and, hey, I'm getting sleepy, ... Just a bunch of Z's, and that was his code to like come on over kind of thing. Coast is clear, you know. So, you know, and that was just, I lived 5 minutes away, 10, maybe 10, depending, and it was just too convenient and too easy, and it was fun, and we had fun when we were together, and so it wasn't healthy, and I totally agree with that. So that was one of the well, financially I wasn't doing well. I missed my family. I moved away shortly after high school, and I come back to visit, but I realized over the years I've missed out on a lot of things with my little brother and sister. Missed out on just their karate or their baseball or cheerleading or just whatever. And my dad is not doing well. He doesn't think he has very long to live, but he always says that. It's been that way for like a decade. He's still here, thank goodness. My grandparents aren't getting any younger, and I just have an awesome family. And I wanted to be able to just be here for a little bit and regroup financially. I owe my parents a lot of money, and I owe my grandparents a lot of money, and I owe friends money. I owe my the guy that I bought a house with, I owe him a lot of money. He doesn't ask me for it, but I intend to pay him back because he really footed the bill on the mortgage for a few months. And the third reason, and I like to put this third because I like to think that second to those reasons I would have been strong enough somehow, but the third reason was to put a distance, a physical distance between Travis and I, because I know that he really liked Mimi, and he said he did. And I kind of felt guilty. I mean, I know they weren't dating, but I just felt guilty somehow, and I didn't know Ryan at the time. I met him in March in Oklahoma City, and it was just brief, and I remember seeing him and saying, oh, I really want to go say hi to him, but he was surrounded by people, and he was kind of unapproachable. And he says he remembers meeting me too, and it wasn't until Zion, my friend, texted me, and yeah, I think I told you that.
And this is all after
you
broke up.
Oh yeah.
Broke up with Travis. Everything was all over. But
As far as the timeline, we broke. It was kind of a mutual thing, but I sort of more broke up with him.
Yeah.
And it was hard to do because I really loved him, but I just realized that without trust, you can't have anything, and I had violated his trust.
Is that the main reason you guys broke up? Is the trust?
Trust. I think that there's
not that the relationship was unhealthy because of the sexual activity, promiscuity, but just that you guys couldn't trust each other.
I think that, and this doesn't make it right, I think that, you know, being a convert, you know, I've had a couple of serious relationships before where I was intimate with a few people, and it's kind of silly, but I used to always joke that regardless of what the Bible says, and yes, I'm Christian, I just live my life by the 10 Commandments, and those are my rules. You know, thou shalt not this or that, but it doesn't say thou shalt not fornicate. So I just used to joke about that, and it's a bad philosophy. I think that with Travis, there was a part of me that felt really guilty because there was something inside that thought you're you know, this is nice for instant gratification, but you're destroying what you could have with Travis. And that's why we did pray about it. I remember we knelt by his bed once, and surprisingly he suggested it. Normally, you know, I would suggest that we pray before we go on a trip or before we eat if we're alone.
It was kind of unusual for him, huh?
Yeah, because he was very resistant to prayer with me. I mean, I think in church it would have been fine, and I feel that maybe because we were driving away the Spirit constantly. Or maybe he felt that by inviting the Spirit, he would feel guilty about later on in the evening, or I don't know what the deal was. Or the excuse he used was because I'm a convert, I need more practice saying prayers. He's like, so I'd say, will you say a prayer? He's like, why don't you say a prayer? Why don't you say a prayer? Why don't you say a prayer? So we'd go back and forth, and I don't know, it's just one time when I was on a trip at Havasu Pi, we were all getting on the road, and I think it was with Dan Freeman and his sister Desiree, and they were all like, Jody, will you say a prayer? And I said, sure, and Travis was like, anyway, I didn't want to argue with them, so, anyway, what was I saying?
Well, he's, the whole trust issue keeps coming back into my mind.
That was the big reason.
He was a big time flirt, and that's the one thing everybody says about him. He flirts a lot. Does he mean anything by it? No, not really. That's just who he is. He did have girlfriends here or there, and he was at a point in his life where he wanted to really start settling down. He felt like he needed to kind of grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Become a husband, become a father. That time had come, and he felt that time had come and gone, and he was falling behind.
He told me that too. He said he felt like his time was running out, and I told him that, despite the fact that he's not going to be in a singles ward very much longer, he still has a lot of options. He's still a very eligible bachelor. And he just didn't see it that way. He's like, you don't understand. He's like, that might be true, but my chances are severely reduced once I turn 31. It was like this ticking time bomb.
Finding a good Mormon girl, was difficult because in that church, that most of the girls get married in early 20s.
Yeah. He said he didn't want to marry a girl in her early 20s because he said that he noticed a lot of pattern in the church with girls that married between 19 and 24, so to speak, would they'd start having babies and growing their family, and then they would look at their single girlfriends who are still having fun with no responsibilities, and they would regret getting married. And I think if you're strong in the church, it's not so much a problem, but
yeah, depends on who you surround yourself with too. If you surround yourself with the right people, it's a different story. But that's where he was. And did you guys ever discuss possibly getting married or anything?
When we were dating, we did.
Okay.
Once we broke up, he brought it up. He actually proposed to me a lot of times, but he wasn't serious. I think he was serious once, and it was when we broke up. And that was really hard because we were on the phone, and it was just like none of that stuff should be done on the phone anyway, but I was hundreds of miles away. And I told him that I loved him. We didn't say I love you during our relationship, but we said it afterward. It was weird.
Okay.
I said, this isn't, breaking up with him on the phone wasn't really the way I wanted to do it, but it was kind of a situation that had just come to a point where it just couldn't be ignored anymore. And
Well, let's move to after the breakup.
oh, okay.
What kept you in Mesa at that point?
I actually moved to Mesa a few weeks after we broke up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, as far as the timeline goes. But, I mean, if you want to call it our official breakup, shortly thereafter, it's like we were still seeing each
So
other.
you guys were seeing each other, but it was a long distance type relationship.
It was always long distance when we were officially dating. We didn't re-date. We dated from about the beginning of February to about the end of June. So
Okay.
February, March, April, May, June, about 5 months total.
Okay. In June of 2007, you guys broke up, and then
June
you moved to
29th.
Mesa.
Yeah, I moved to Mesa sort of.
Most
few
people,
weeks.
when they break up, they kind of go their
I
own
know,
way.
and plans were already in order for me to move there. I was already speaking with a friend who was, was going to be her roommate, and I was her roommate for a short time.
All right, so at this point in time, we have finished the stream for the night, different topics, etc. So we'll see you all tomorrow, and thank you all for coming, and peace.